to rock. The feeling exciting. So darling, let's do something. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. Rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body. Your body. I just get paid. I want to play. The vibes is right. I wanna hug up tight. No time to waste. I wanna work my ways. So come on, babes. Give me a taste. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Well, you know, I'm feeling, 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 I'm feeling. Smoke in my brain. I wanna do my thing. Work up a sweat until I soak in wet. Rub your body, show no mercy, because I'm feeling tipsy, I'm feeling freaky. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Come down.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got them lang loji, now you got them bongolo. Long time got them lang loji, now you got them bongolo. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got them dirty down, now you got them concrete road. Long time got them dirty down, now you got them concrete road. Long time got them dirty down, now you got them concrete road. Long time got them dirty down, now you got them concrete road. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got them jug lamp, now you got them electric light. Long time got them jug lamp, now you got them electric.
All right. Hey, guess what? Good evening. My name is Mark Benschop. Don't worry. I'm urging you guys, don't worry. We're in the dark. It's blackout in beautiful Guyana. And we just have to do what we have to do, right? Pray for us. Pray for the people, all the people of Guyana. Because this is what they endure almost every single day. It happens. Blackout upon blackout upon blackouts upon blackouts upon blackouts. These are the folks, when they got into office, the installed regime, they promised that things are going to change as they term for betterment. I don't know whether this is what they consider betterment. Let me know whether you guys can see me. And if you guys can see me, I can just basically continue with the program. All of you in beautiful Georgetown, those in the East Coast and the West Coast, the East Bank, wherever you are, good evening to all, every single one of you guys. I don't want to sound like that pastor lady that ran for president, right, from that small party. And the way she says all of the smaller parties, you know, She got married and she disappeared. Making joke that when you get married, you disappear from off the scene until things get, either for the betterment or it got worse, and then we start to see you guys around the block again, right? I'm looking at some of you. Okay, you guys can see me. Good. I'm glad. I'm hearing that you guys can see me. This is good. It is really. All right. Again, you see, look, our operator deliberately put that black screen on to let you guys understand what it is to face with blockouts. Those of you who have been out of Guyana for all the years, and have not returned, don't know what's happening on the ground, don't understand the blockout, and so forth and so on. All right, black screen again, the blockout as a demonstration as to what it does to the people of Guyana, what it does for businesses, so forth and so on. And so those people on the ground in beautiful Georgetown and so forth understand this sort of experience, what is happening on the ground. It is no joke. The blackout is horrible. During the blackouts and all these things, you get mosquitoes and all these things. Every single thing. Those of you who remember, right? You would have left Guyana 25, 30 years and all these things. You don't understand what is happening. And I'm not knocking those of you who have left a long time ago. I'm not knocking. Sorry about that, mosquitoes. I'm not knocking at you guys who have left a long, long time ago and don't understand blackout and all these different things and other stuff. I don't know, man. Guyana there should be a special part in this Olympic stuff, a special part, and call it blackout. We're going to run away with the gold medal. We are going to run away with the gold medal. Seriously. I don't know. Should we continue with the program with the blackout? I don't know. Should we continue? Look, we carry on our show regardless of what. As Rickford Burke would say, I am not David Granger, but I'm not Mark Benschop. So we will continue our show this evening because we are not Rickford Burke. We battled through blackouts. We battled through hardships. We battled through things on the ground. And guess what? Once there is light, there is always a way, whether there's a little bit of light. And I want you guys to pray for us this evening. Offer a word of prayer. Offer a word of prayer for us to get this light so that we can get on with this show. We've got to get on with this show. Seriously. Father, we pray and we ask you in order for this show to continue so that we can spread the truth, the word, expose what is happening in Guyana. We pray and we're asking that we expose what is happening in Guyana, throughout Guyana. We pray, and we ask for light. Please let it be light. In Jesus' name, we pray. Wow. Oops. Good evening to all of you. Wow. There is light. There is light, actually, at the end of the tunnel. And we've got light. And look, we have light, and we're able to do our stuff without any sort of interruptions. But just imagine what the folks go through in Guyana every single day. Just imagine living this sort of life. Imagine what they endure every single day, blackouts upon blackouts upon blackouts, hours upon hours upon hours, their refrigerator, their microwaves, whatever it is. Every single day, this is what they go through throughout the country. And every single time, you know what the politicians they say? They are going to fix the electricity problem. They are going to do this and they are going to do that. But look, let's be honest. During the 5 years of the APNU AFC government, and this is another thing that we've got to give them credit for. Seriously, we've got to give them credit for. Even the supporters of the PPP, even those who are part of the installed regime right now, would say that they have experienced less blackouts within the past 5 years of the coalition government than they did for the 23 years the PPP was in office. And now, in less than 1 year, every single day, hours upon hours upon hours of blackout. I don't know. I didn't mean to start off with blackout and all these things. I didn't really mean to start off, but you can just imagine the pains that people have to go through. Businesses, you're in your office, you're having dinner with your family, you're having breakfast with your family, you're having a meeting, you're having a Zoom meeting, you're having whatever, you're watching television, you're watching a news, you're watching a movie, you're doing something with your family, and blackout every single day. Kudos to the Granger-led coalition government. Kudos, because they hardly had blackouts. And GPL, which is the Guyana Power and Light Company, they were making money. They were making money. But now, under this installed regime, guess what? They are operating at a loss. They are operating at a loss. They're wasting the money. They don't know how to manage not only a country, they don't know how to manage a cake shop. They don't know how to manage a dog food stall. They just don't know how to manage things at all. And that is sad. That is so sad. What else is sad? I don't know. What else is sad? That also is sad. That pathetic thing is sad. We'll deal with this guy and his stupidity shortly. In case you haven't recognized that thing happens to be Lennox Schumann. I don't know. I just don't know. Get him off the screen for now. Let me fix my tie. And good evening to all of you. How was your weekend? Let me go straight to this guy. He's not looking as young in this photograph. He's even younger. I'm assuming that we don't have a video of him tonight because of the blackout situation and the electricity problem, of course. I don't know what's happening. The Honorable Member of Parliament, Ganesh Mahipal. Good evening, sir.
Good night, Mark. Thank you for having me on your program.
Thank you for being on. And we almost didn't get the opportunity to have you on tonight because of that blackout. Hours upon hours upon hours of blackouts. But Ganesh, let me get straight to the point. I know you've had a busy day dealing with the Public Accounts Committee. That's the PAC. A lot of things. You've had a packed schedule. But before we get into that, how was your weekend, sir?
My weekend was good. As usual, we were out in the field. All of our MPs were in their respective constituency meeting with the supporters and people of Guyana, hearing their concerns and attempting to answer what we can and make representation for what we cannot. And of course, the weekend also had blackouts, because right now there is blackout where I am. I'm actually on data. So I
Mhm.
hope that it lasts the session.
Yes, we're hoping, and that's why we're just going to be quick. We have Ganesh Mahipal, the Honorable Member of Parliament, just for a couple of minutes with us. There are two things I want to, two questions I have for you. One has to do with this propaganda that the PPP is spreading about the coalition not granting the Gaisuko, that is the Guyana Sugar Corporation, $400 million back in 2016. During that budget, it was passed $400 million. Outside of that, what the PPP propagandists are not saying is that for 2016, the Guyana Sugar Corporation got $11 billion. What's going on with that 400 million, sir?
The People's Progressive Party is trying to score cheap political points on this matter that has to do with Gaisuku. Now, $400 million was approved in budget 2016 for the Ministry of Agriculture, and Gaisuku is an agency that falls under the Ministry of Agriculture. There was no specific item in the budget that spoke to this money solely going to Gaisuku, and it was a capital spending or a capital allocation. Now, when agencies require monies, they have to apply for the money, make the requests. Gaisuku in 2016 never made the requests for this 400 million capital project money. And that is why it was never taken out of the consolidated fund and put into the hands of Gaisuku. However, Gaisuku made representation for, or they made requests for current expenditure. And in the sum of $11 billion, they received current expenditure requests. One has to understand how the budget works. The budget has basically two categories: current expenditure and capital expenditure. The $11 billion that was given to Gaisuku in 2016 by the coalition government was given as a request from the current expenditure. There was no request from the capital expenditure. So that is why no sums of money could have been given to Gaisuku under the capital expenditure. But there was an amount there in the sum of $400 million. But people like Bishop Edgil, they want to score cheap political points. And that is what he was attempting to do in the Public Accounts Committee today. But sensible people who know the system and who understand what is at hand here will not fall prey into believing Mr. Edgil. The fact is, he is trying to reach out to the sugar base. He's trying to reach out to the strong supporters of the PPP and basically create this narrative that the coalition did not give the money to Gaisuku. But how, Mark? How can you give something like monies from a budget if the company does not request it? And one knows that during this period, there was the reshuffling and reorganizing of Gaisuku because it was basically bleeding the economy. And all of these were part and parcel of actions that were necessary so that we can reconstitute, revisit, reorganize, re strategize, all the words you can think about in making Gaisuku viable again. But what they don't want to accept is that under the coalition, billions of dollars were poured out to Gaisuku, and in 2016, $11 billion, not million, $1 billion
Let
was
me ask you,
given to Gaisuku for current expenditure.
fair enough, and we all know that the Gaisuko and the sugar workers were treated far better than when the PPP were in office, when they were in office for 20 something years. They channeled that money, they wasted that money, billions of dollars, for personal benefits and for their friends and cronies. It never trickled down to the ordinary sugar workers, but it did under the coalition with billions of dollars. What exactly? Because that $400 million was actually passed to be given to Gaisuko. What was it going to be, or when was it going to be given? Whenever they requested? Is that what you're saying?
Well, as I'm saying to you, it was a capital expenditure. It was a capital expenditure, so it had to be spent on capital projects. The laws of this country does not permit any agency to change capital spending into current spending, nor does it permit current spending to go into capital spending. They're two different layers of spending. And if Gaisuku had requested the 400 million for whatever capital project it catered for, then of course they would have had reasons why it would go or would not go. But there was no request for that 400 million. And if there was no
Okay,
request, then how can you go and give it?
fair enough. And outside of that, we want our listeners to know and to understand that the coalition government didn't hold back on $400 million in order to spite or to starve the workers of the sugar industry. In fact, that very year, they got $11 billion. Compare that to 2014. Compare that to 2013. Compare that to 2012, when the sugar workers hardly got anything under the PPP regime. But I've noticed a question from someone: how does this information get down to the ordinary sugar workers to counter the propaganda of Bishop Edgell and the PPP?
Well, it will require us, of course, bringing it to their attention so that they can understand. But you see, in order for the sugar workers to assess and in order for them to draw their conclusion, they would have to have an open mind. And they cannot just want to sit and accept what the PPP say to them as gospel and refuse to at least hear the coalition on the position. The fact of the matter is, why would a government give $11 billion and withhold 400 million? 400 million is nothing but a drop when compared to $11 billion. And the coalition poured out $11 billion to Gaisuku. So why would they just withhold 400 million? But you see how the PPP propaganda newspapers and the propagandists in the PPP are spreading it. They're just talking about the 400 million. And they're not drawing that comparison to the 11 billion that was given. So the sugar workers will have to understand and assess for themselves. Why would I give you $11 billion and then I will withhold 400 million? It's logically madness, if one is to put it that way, for one to think that way.
And I agree with you, and most people agree with you. And we know that a lot of sugar workers do watch the show, or their relatives do watch the show. Outside of that, the coalition, the MPs, especially, I don't know who's the shadow minister of agriculture, but that person needs to hit the ground as well with the entire coalition to send the message, to reach out to the sugar industry, the workers on the ground, and let them know that the PPP continues to play games with them and their lives, and that it is the PPP who is not concerned about their livelihood. Under the coalition government, we saw billions upon billions of dollars going into the sugar industry, and to ensure that the sugar workers got a fair share, of that. Outside of that, there were other programs that would benefit the kids, the children of sugar workers, and all these things, and to place sugar workers into other industry, into other areas where they can earn a livelihood for themselves and their families. That is what we saw under the coalition government. And the Honorable Member of Parliament, Ganesh Mahipal, made a very, very important point. Why should the coalition, why would any government, as what happened under the coalition, the APNU AFC coalition, for 2016 gave $11 billion to the sugar industry and not want to give $400 million, which is a drop in the bucket? Anything else on that issue before we go to the other subject, Mr. Mahipal?
Well, I am not sure if your other subject has to do with the Public Accounts Committee, but I want to also raise another important point, which I think our viewers should understand carefully. What we found also during this examination of the 2016 Auditor General report is that there are a number of overpayments that were made to contractors for projects that were executed both under the current and the capital program. And it baffled me as to how can overpayments happen, because contractors are paid for measured work. So it is the duty of the engineering department of these ministries and agencies to measure the work and then pay as per measured work. But what happens is that when the Auditor General sends his auditors to go and verify these works, the auditor would measure the work. And the auditor find when they measure the work, it comes up to a different figure than what the engineering department certified as measured work. And the engineer would have to certify before payment is made. So what the Auditor General report will say is that for this project, X amount of money was overpaid. How was it overpaid? Obviously, because the engineering department created the certificate and verified that the work was measured and facilitated the process of payment. The issue there has to do with falsification of a certificate without verifying that the work was measured. So what am I saying to you, Mark? I am saying that we have these technical officers in the ministries, in the departments, in the agencies that are responsible to measure the work before payment can start. But instead of them going out into the fields, measuring work, ensuring that it is to the bill of quantities that was approved, they sit in their offices and they generate a certificate, claim that the work is finished and approved, start the process of payment. The accounting officers pay the money, and when the contractor is overpaid, the Auditor General picks it up, and difficulty arises in terms of retrieving that money or recouping that money. So this is a call from me as a member of the Public Accounts Committee, as a public official, and as a representative of the people, for our engineers, our technical officers that manage these projects, that they need to ensure that they do their work correctly and accurately. They need to go out into the fields, measure the work, and generate a certificate for the completion of the work based on what they have measured, so that that is what will be paid for. If they do not do that, and they sit in their offices and they generate a certificate of completion, then it amounts to falsification or a falsified document, and that is punishable by law. It is catered for in the Fiscal Management and Accountability Act, Section 85, where it speaks to false documents and it speaks to not properly doing your work. I just want to make that call to our public officers, our engineers in specific, because we will be zooming in into this matter particularly because we are noticing it's a trend in these ministries and agencies, and it is dating back as far as 1997, 1998, we're seeing it. 2003, 2005, 2006, 2013, 14, we're seeing it in those years, and it is becoming worrisome. Today, the ministry that was the center of attention for that was the Ministry of Education, and we picked up a series of overpayments which occurred in 2013, 2014, the 2013-2014 period. So it is a public call I'm making to our engineers and our technical officers to basically do their work and remove that perception that there may be some degree of collusion in these ministries, especially in the engineering department.
You've mentioned for the years 2013, 2014, there is this overpayment in terms of contractors. And one of the ministries that has actually been flagged is the Ministry of Education. And I just want the people to know that during that period, 2013, 2014, our good friend Priya Manikchan was actually the Minister of Education then, as she is now today.
Yes, you are correct. But you see, I am going to be very honest with you. The problem really has a lot to do with the technical officers. And we will pick up this same issue I see in years that we're going to continue with. And I am not going to solely blame Priya Manikchan or the ministers of these agencies, because what
But
happens
at the end of every budgetary period, they have to be accountable for these sort of things. And if it happened in 2013 and it continued in 2014, we can't sit and tell our listeners that Priya Manikchan or whoever was the minister then wasn't aware of these overpayments.
No, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they were not aware. What I will blame her for is knowing that it has happened and did not do anything to correct it. That is what I will blame her for. And that is what I will blame all ministers of government for. Because the Auditor General report comes back to the ministry with the findings. And the ministers, the regional executive officers, and all the accounting officers are well aware of the findings. So if we picked up a discrepancy in 2011, when we pick it up at the Public Accounts Committee, rest assured that the persons in the respective ministries are already au fait with the discrepancy. So you cannot have a discrepancy in 2011, such as overpayment, and 2012, you do nothing about it, or 2013, you do nothing about it. It simply means that the assumption will be that you are aiding and abetting in the crime. So that I will blame the ministers and the accounting officers for. But my point, Mark, is that these engineers facilitate it, and we want them to know that we know that. So they need to do what is right. Because when the hammer will hit the nail, they cannot blame us for not making this public appeal to them to do what is right.
All right, Ganesh, I know I promised you a couple of minutes. You have blackout where you are, but still, we thank you so much for taking time out. And we know of situations where a lot of these engineers work in tandem. They work hand in hand with those who are head of their particular ministries in some cases. So I wouldn't just blame the engineers alone. Trust me on that. But thank you so much. What's the situation with the blackouts throughout the country, sir?
Well, since this government took office, we have been getting frequent blackouts. They promised to end blackouts, but I don't know where that is going. When one compares the amount of blackouts we had under the David Granger administration to this 1 year of the PPP, the 1 year far way outweighs the 5 year that the coalition had. And it is very hypocritical, funny, and dubious for one to conclude that the blackouts now is because of a lack of maintenance over the 5 years, why is it that over the 5 years we were not having this degree of blackout? But you see, the subject ministers that are responsible for this agency, the Guyana Power and Light Incorporated, they are gallivanting across the country, pushing their nose into other sectors. The Because We Care cash grant, they are going around spending huge sums of monies for traveling and meals and accommodation, when all they do is go to these areas, get a garland around their neck, and they don't facilitate any form of distribution. The distribution is done by the staff of the various regions and ministries, but they just go and they seek for their little photo opportunity, and they go and meet people and those, and they do their political work as opposed to focusing on bettering the lives of the Guyanese. And that is something that any sensible person will pick up, and any sensible person would know. But you know what the PPP does not realize is that this is not 10, 15, 20 years back when they think Guyanese are gullible, or when they perceive Guyanese to be gullible. Guyanese are very sensible right now. Guyanese are very informed, and they're very au fait with what is happening in this country, and they are in a position to draw comparison with the PPP and the APNU AFC, and they know that they missed the coalition. They know that they want the coalition back because they know what is it that they missed, and they will legitimately vote for this coalition at the next election. That I'm certain about.
Thank you so much, Member of Parliament Ganesh Mahipal, giving us a quick rundown. Mr. MP, I thank you so much for your time, sir. God bless you, and hope you see your way through the blackout, at least at some time during the course of the night. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mark. It's always a pleasure being on your program, and I'm happy that you did not exhaust me this evening like you would normally want to do from time to time.
All right, Member of Parliament Ganesh Mahipal, thank you so much, sir. Appreciate that. We have lots of other things that we want to move on to, but let's go all the way to quarantine. That plan. I see some folks on what is it? They've been asking, when are we gonna get what is it? Some call in. We will get some call in pretty soon. But let's go to my good friend out on the quarantine, J.R. Crawford. Mr. Crawford, how are you, sir?
Good evening. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Give us a quick, give us your opinion, sir, on this whole thing about Schumann, a guy that seemed to have lost his mind. I'm not even certain as to how he ended up as the deputy speaker of the National Assembly. In fact, I'm not even certain how someone like Schumann, with his mindset and his thinking, ended up in Parliament. But then again, a lot of them, I can say the same for a lot of them. What is your take on this silly talk about Schumann talking that only persons who are fully vaccinated should be recipients of the 19,000 from the Ministry of Education, and also even for those who are receiving house lots, that they should be fully vaccinated? What is your take on that, sir?
Well, my understanding it's a human rights violation, and there is no law that can mandate someone to take a vaccination, especially one that's not properly researched. Mr. Schumann is only being a stooge, and you could see what he is. Look at the incident with that Armenian girl that got shot. He hasn't come out and said anything about it. He hasn't been orchestrating anything to help the Armenian people. So he's there just as an opportunist. And I honestly, I don't pay any mind to somebody like Schumann. He's just a waste of time, And you've seen what he has done on your program. He's a joke, and the guy doesn't speak the truth. He's there for the ride. I mean, thank God, he's going to be out of Parliament soon.
Well,
the guy, I don't cotton to him. He's just, in my mind, a moron.
Probably beyond that, but since we're on radio, we want to keep it clean in terms of describing him. It's probably beyond.
Well, describe
because
it's in the dictionary. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's okay. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm saying that the other adjectives that we'd like to describe him, we would use the like term as moron, but other folks would love to describe him far worse than that. What else happening in your area? We know lots and lots of blackouts, man. What's going on the quarantine, sir?
Well, from time to time, there are blackouts every other day, or probably practically every day. I mean, we don't know why. And I was just talking to a friend who from the West Coast, and during the coalition time, the same system was running, and we hadn't this problem. Now there's no rain or nothing, but we just constantly having blackouts, and it's destroying people's appliances. And it's interfering things, internet and all these things. And I don't understand why we have to go through this. They're claiming the system needs to be upgraded, but this very system was working under the coalition. And it's not for a year, it's for 4 years plus.
But
so
do you
don't really understand the PPP, why everything is happening under them unless it's a bad omen. Because everything that they seem to be touching, it comes up with a problem.
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Crawford, and for those who have just joined us, we just take a quick call from J.R. Crawford, all the way out there on the quarantine in beautiful Guyana. Do you think the blackouts, the regular blackouts that folks are experiencing in that beautiful country, has to do with a money-making venture? Because the more that they have blackouts in Guyana, the more these guys at GPL get to stuff their pockets. Do you think it's a scheme? It's a money-making scheme?
Well, they're claiming that the system needs to be upgraded. When, like I said, under the coalition, we forgot about blackouts. For the same system that was working.
For the most part,
they're using it to create invoices saying that this needs to be done, this and that needs to be done. When in fact there is nothing, that's wrong with the system. So, like you're saying, it could be one of the ways to siphon money, as well as playing with the poor people's comfort.
Probably has to do with making billions, hundreds of millions of dollars. And they believe that if they constantly have blackouts, they can go to their supporters to reintroduce this Amila Fall, this failed Amila Falls project that wasted billions upon billions of taxpayers' monies that went into their friends and cronies' pockets, that failed actually.
And nobody has ever given an explanation of what happened to all the monies there and why it never came to fruition.
Exactly.
I really don't think that the people are going to be that stupid, because they've pressured their own base so much. Anything they try to sell now, only a total idiot will try to believe it.
Have you, and some of their supporters actually do buy into every propaganda that they sell. Not all of their supporters, because I agree with you and others. A lot of their supporters are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But let us go quickly, because this is just an impromptu call to have you talk about what's happening there in the quarantine. But you heard Mr. Mahi Paul spoke about the $11 billion that the coalition gave in 2016 to the guys, to the sugar industry. $11 billion. $400 million for that year was not allocated. And so the PPP gone on this propaganda masquerade around to the sugar workers to say that the coalition government refused to give $400 million. But they're not reminding the sugar workers that during that same year, that it's the same APNU AFC government that gave $11 billion to the sugar industry. Your take.
Look, the PPP, they're known to send out misinformation to their base because over the years, they know that the propaganda has worked to their benefit. And like I said, they're going to try and spin these BS to the population, and it's going to backfire. everybody knows that the monies were pumped into under the coalition. I think it was more than 11 billion because, according to Mr. Ramjatan, when the coalition was in there, they were subsidizing the industry by what, $1 billion every month or something like that. The industry is dead. The only body who's going to benefit from that now is the DDL and those people that use the molasses to make rum. Look at the cost of sugar. We haven't seen this rising around the world as it is in Guyana. Nobody is talking about why the sudden rise in cost of living. The sugar industry, on the other hand, it's a dead horse. Why not use something else? You know, use other crops where we can have a market and we can, you know, support our nation.
Another night we will talk about other crops, other stuff, and so forth. But quickly, before I close off with you, Mr. Crawford, J.R. Crawford, that is, there's a comment from someone who's saying, and that person is Jokul. Rupnarayan is saying here, young Crawford, you are being biased to say that these things are happening under the PPPC. Amila did not come to fruition because the PNC blocked it in Parliament jointly with AFC. Now, before I allow you to address that individual, let me say this, that is ridiculous. The Amila Falls project, and obviously Jokul Rupnarayan doesn't have an understanding as to what actually took place. In fact, the Jagdev administration, the Donald Ramotar administration admitted that it was a failure, admitted that it was billions upon billions of dollars that wasted, and that's it. So this has the failure of Amila Falls project has absolutely nothing to do with PNC or AFC. That is all. Just like the fiber optic cable that started to run from Brazil all the way to Georgetown, wasted hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of Guyana dollars. But let me give you a couple of minutes to respond to this ridiculous statement being made by Mr. Rupnarayan here.
Mark, some of these PPP lunatics, they don't want to hear the truth. They keep believing that if they peddle this nonsense, that people are going to believe them. The sugar industry, the Amila Falls, the fiber optics, all those were a money-making scheme, and nobody gave an account to the taxpayers what happened to their monies. Now, these guys could go and rave and rant. I don't, care anything what they say. I'll speak the truth. The PPP is a failed entity. They are got in there by fraudulent means. They'll get out there sooner or later. And these very people, they're living in denial. Look at what the industry has accomplished under the PPP. Where has it gone? These people, they don't want to face the truth. Their behavior is based upon racism. And Rupnarayan, or whatever his name is, he's a plain idiot. Look at what is going on there. You will see that the country has not gone anywhere forward. We have gone backwards. We have gone as a divided nation. People are complaining. $400 to cross the Burbis Bridge on a taxi. They're crying and grumbling and complaining. The only way that things could get better if we come together for a common cause of making Guyana a better place. As long as we are divided by race or racism or being ignorant, we'll all suffer. And they are the ones who are feeling the pain because they have the lavish lifestyle they can't maintain anymore. You and I, it doesn't matter.
Mr. Crawford, I want. That's okay.
He needs to learn to go back and be honest, look himself in the mirror and says, whatever he's making these comments, if it's real.
All right. Thank you so much, J.R. Crawford. We won't spend much time, but that's just to expose these individuals as blind bats, blind followers. They sit on their rear end or their heads on their rear end and accept all of the propaganda from the PPP. But thank you so much, Mr. Crawford. Appreciate it. Enjoy the blackout. We can wrestle with blackout and mosquitoes and all these things, man. We from quarantine, we can see in darkness miles upon miles away. We can see. Enjoy.
When you get in old, you don't want to deal with existing anymore.
I know you've celebrated your birth anniversary the other day. Belated happy birthday greetings to you, sir. Continue doing what you're doing, and hope to have you back soon on Benschop Radio. Thank you, sir.
All right, be good. And
All
thanks,
right.
and good night, everyone.
Good. All right. We just decided J.R. Crawford there for you guys. We haven't had J.R. on for a while, and I just wanted to get on the ground and talk with the folks on the ground. What is happening there in beautiful Guyana, especially out there in the ancient county of Berbice. Good night to all the folks at Alnis Village, Manchester, Liverpool, Wim, and all those areas there. There's another thing that I want to talk about, and it's discrimination. Discrimination. I know this is what something like Muhammad Rahim Yunus, from Alnis Village originally, but he has been out of Guyana for a long time. Maybe for about 100 years he's been living in another country, enjoying the sweetness in another country. But he doesn't understand what is happening in beautiful Guyana. And I say that he doesn't understand what is happening in beautiful Guyana because he has been out of Guyana for, like I have said, donkey years. So these things that we are talking about, he hasn't experienced it. He hasn't experienced blackout in a long time. He hasn't experienced hardship. I don't know whether he has ever experienced hardship, but I've noticed he's talking about generator and so forth and so on. And this is not to knock Mr. Yunus. Sorry. They have been neighbors. They're good people, And so Mohammed and Rahim Yunus, I don't want you to view this as an attack on you. It's not, but I want you to listen to some of the discrimination, some of the things happening on the fraudulent, the installed PPP regime. Let me show you guys this photograph of, this is a young man. And Mohammed Yunus, I want you to pay careful attention to what I'm about to say. This young man is a business guy, invested millions, and not just 1 million or 2 million. He has invested hundreds of millions of dollars. He's a fuel dealer, fuel dealer, a legitimate fuel dealer. And you see his ethnicity. This youngster is being targeted by the installed regime. Exactly the sort of things that we have been talking about on this show and on other shows for a long time now, especially since August 2nd last year when they were installed. They're targeting people looking like this guy, Darwin Bess. He's the principal director of SBF International Incorporated, right? And incorporation. And so this guy is a fuel dealer. The install regime wants him out of the business because they want only their folks. And you know what I mean, Yunus, when I say their folks, just a couple of their folks, maybe close friends of Irfan Ali, to only be part of the fuel business in Guyana. So with no justifiable reason, they want to kick this guy out. They're finding all sorts of Jim Cockburn Ramgoat story to get this guy out of the fuel business. The other day, this is what they did. They went to court on trumped up allegations against him about his company. So far, it hasn't been proven. And the magistrate then had issued an arrest warrant for this businessman for no reason at all. Absolutely no reason at all. So when he appeared in court recently, guess what? The magistrate withdraws arrest warrant requested by GEA, which is the Guyana Energy Agency, that is headed by Dr. Mahendra Sharma. Dr. Mahendra Sharma is the son of C.N. Sharma. And I say this to say that Mahendra Sharma, and let me allow you guys to see my face. Mahendra Sharma, who is the head of GEA, the Guyana Energy Agency, was the head of the Guyana Energy Agency before 2015 when the APNU AFC coalition got into office. They didn't kick him out. They didn't remove him. In my opinion, maybe they should have, because there has been lots of controversies in that particular agency, turning a blind eye on fuel smuggling and all these different things, and terminating the services of long-serving employees of that agency, headed by Dr. Mahendra Sharma. I'm just giving you guys a rundown. During the 2015 elections, according to information, and it is my understanding that Dr. Mahendra Sharma campaigned on the platform of the PPP. He went on the platform. He campaigned for the PPP. And so when the coalition got into office, I'm not saying that he should have been kicked out on the basis of him supporting a political party, but he was allowed to stay there, even though the agency had massive allegations of corruption from the highest level down. And mind you, allegations. He was allowed to sit there for the entire 5 years of the coalition government. Another example that the coalition government didn't target people because of their ethnicity. They didn't target people because of their political affiliation. And so this guy, Dr. Mahendra Sharma, is out now, and according to information, targeting individuals who look like this guy, a legitimate fuel dealer, Darwin Best, a legitimate fuel dealer, legitimate. He has a license. There is no reason why this guy's license should not be extended, should not be renewed. There's no reason why he should not have his license renewed. But the reason why they're targeting this guy is because of what he looks like. Look at him. They don't want him to be in the fuel business, the legitimate fuel business. He has over 300 employees. It is a legitimate business, of course, a legal business, a hardworking young man that they want to kick out of the business and send 300 of his workers on the breadline, all because they want to give the business one person or two persons to control the fuel industry. That is all they want to do. That is all they want to do. And to give the fuel business only to be controlled by friends who are close or folks who are close to Irfan Ali. That is what they want to do. Now, this guy is no fuel smuggler. This guy is no fuel thief. This guy is an honest, hardworking businessman. Now, I spoke to several of his employees, and they're upset about what is happening. And they see this as a racist agenda by the head of GEA, Dr. Mahendra Sharma, targeting this man and his legitimate business. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. I just wanted to bring this latest development to your attention. It is not right. It is just not right. And we've got to stand up and we've got to speak out against these things, these racist things. And if Mahendra Sharma is watching, your move, Dr. Mahendra Sharma, is coming over as blatantly racist. I'm not certain where you're getting your orders from, whether you're getting it directly from Irfan Ali. but it is downright racist. Now, I don't know this gentleman from Jump Street. From Jump Street. So I don't want people to say, maybe because he looks a little bit good looking like me, right? That I am picking up. I don't know this gentleman from Jump Street. But what I do know is that it is wrong. It's an injustice that is happening against this brother. And we've got to speak out against these injustices. We've got to speak out about these racist acts, these blatant racist acts committed by the regime. We've got to do that. Good evening to Dr. Mahendra Sharma, the head of Guyana Energy Agency. Good evening to you. And we don't want to run away and say this is all, it's appearing to be very racist. I saw somebody mention, Dr. Mahendra Sharma is married to the Speaker of the National Assembly, Mansoor Nadir's daughter, which is true. He is married to Mansoor's daughter, but I don't know what that has to do with this here, but I just thought that I mentioned that he's married to Mansoor Nadir's daughter. Is this a political something? He campaigned in 2015 on the PPP campaign platform. He was allowed to keep his job. There were a host of allegations leveled against his agency, fuel smuggling, and all these different things. And mind you, the fuel smuggling reduced under the coalition. Another plus to the APNU AFC regime. But the head of that agency, Mahendra Sharma, seemed to have had some sort of fairy godmother or godfather somewhere that kept him in that agency. Even some workers were forced to take, ordinary workers were forced to take lie detector test. Some senior managers, they failed that lie detector test. This was many years ago. A lot of those workers came to my office in Guyana. And so I understand, I know what is happening at that agency. A lot of workers lost their jobs as a result of victimization under the stewardship of Dr. Mahendra Sharma. And we are seeing, and when I heard of this story, for me, it was deja vu again, all over again. And so if this young man, this young businessman, honest, legitimate businessman, if he's listening, I don't know, all we can do, sir, Darwin Best, all we can do is just hope for the best and that you will win this case, because this is beyond ridiculous, man. Targeting a man because of his ethnicity. And then another director of his company that has less shares, far less shares, allegedly threatening him that if he doesn't hand this company or majority of the shares over to him, that this guy, Darwin Best, and his, well, not a company, that Darwin Best will suffer the consequences. I hope this young man, this businessman, is not harmed. I hope they do not do anything to him, because we know how things are done in Guyana. All right? But I will be talking more about this situation concerning this legitimate fuel dealer and his company. And his company, they hire over 300 persons. I don't know. Something isn't right in that country. Now, this guy is a total waste. He's now saying, this is Lennox Schumann with those two balloons, probably filled with water or whatever else he probably put in there, or somebody put it in there. That's him. He's the deputy speaker. This is what Guyana has turned to. I'm not going to get into nothing that and how this guy was actually begging to be part of the coalition, begging down on his knees on these things. I'm not going to get into that, at least not tonight, but I'll stick with the issue as it pertains to vaccination. Now, this guy is so ridiculous. He made a statement on his Facebook page that for kids, parents that is, who are going to receive $19,000, this We Care $19,000 stuff, Schumann is saying that all of the parents should be vaccinated before. I don't know. When some men go out and pick up prostitutes, or when some men go out and become predators to little girls. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with this guy, Schumann. I'm just speaking in general. Should the prostitutes ask them, or the night workers, being politically correct, the night workers, should they ask, do you have your vaccine card on you? Are you fully vaccinated? Imagine pulling around the cathedral to pick up and do business. And I'm not saying that Schumann pulls up at the cathedral to pick up and do business. I'm not saying that. But let us say hypothetically, if someone pulls up there and that person happens to have a name that resembles Schumann, and one of the workers at the cathedral say, Schumann, we're glad that you're here tonight. Show us your vaccine card now. We want to know that you have both vaccines before you receive any other vaccine here tonight. All right? I mean, it is downright. This guy is just ridiculous, and doesn't worth spending much more of our time other than give him this. And these are the folks come and they say that Benschop is peddling racism and other people are peddling, and they come with this like innocent face, innocent looks, like everything that they say they're justified, right? Yeah, and others are so bad. And these guys, this I don't know how the heck this guy is in parliament, man. Seriously, I don't know how the heck this guy, right? I don't know how the heck this guy is deputy speaker. What the heck is happening in Guyana, man? This guy I don't know what the. Give him another. I can play the donkey all night. But I have far more respect for the donkey, that donkey, than I have for this guy that is on the screen right now. These guys don't believe in Guyana. They don't believe in the development. They're not serious about that. It's all about themselves. All about themselves. I don't know. For some reason, every time I think about certain big men, underage girls come to mind, little girls come to mind, and there's always this rush to compensate them with a couple $100,000s. I don't know why. Something, and this has nothing to do with anything else. It's just the things that come to mind, man. Some big men and little girls. Big men and little girls. I don't know. Oh, what else we can talk about before we go? On a lighter note, this guy, look at him, all dressed up. You know this guy? That's the mayor of Georgetown, Ubraj Narain. He was in the U.S. recently. I didn't get a chance to meet with him, but he met with a lot of people. He was busy. He met with congressmen, congresswomen. I saw he met with my good friend Yvette Clarke. He met with others. He met with Senator Chuck Schumer. He met with State Senator Roxanne Prasad, lots of other people. And Ubraj Narain, the mayor of Georgetown, got several proclamations. Now, Anil alone can get proclamation, you know. Ubraj Narain got proclamations too. And one of the proclamation that he got was from the same person, Assemblywoman Rajkumar, who gave Anil Nandalal a proclamation. Good. So look, Ubraj there. Congratulations to Ubraj Narain, the mayor of Georgetown. I heard that everywhere Ubraj went, he spoke about the ill things happening in Georgetown, and rightly so. Up to now, they can't pay this guy his monthly stipend. Up to now, they can't pay him. Look at the city. All because the PPP, the installed PPP regime, wants to hold back and spite the people. Not Ubraj Narain they're spiting, not the mayor of Georgetown they're spiting the people of Georgetown. And so the mayor, his worship, Ubraj Narain, was all over New York telling the story like it is. And I want to salute the organizers who paid, and I want you guys to listen to me carefully with this here. The organizers who ensured that the star of the show is this guy, Ubraj Narain, the mayor. They didn't covet anything from this guy. They didn't steal the spotlight from Ubraj Narain. They didn't rush to issue press releases and all these things, stealing the spotlight from this guy. They stood in the background and they did their work to ensure that this guy, look, you guys know, and that's one of the things, that is the way that those of us Guyanese in the US, in New York and so forth, we can move ahead when there's teamwork. Teamwork. Not one individual behaving as though they're God. And no, it's teamwork. Repeat after me, man. Teamwork, right? Kudos to guys like James Richmond, Pastor Richmond, good evening, and others as well. Shireen, I believe Sharif Barker, and others who made this trip a success. Teamwork. He wanted to meet with another congressional member, but I hope that what we're hearing is that he was blocked by another individual from Torfoir, I tell you, Torfoir. But Peggy Russell Elias, I agree with you. Teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you so much. Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay. All right. So I guess that it is. That's what it is. Teamwork makes the dream work. So congratulations to those folks who made that happen. Congratulations. We hope that this young lady is fully recovering. She was shot by the deputy, or the REO, of Region Number 9. We have since heard the story about it being an accident. I don't know. Sounds fishy. The explanation of it being an accident sounds fishy. Very, very fishy. All right, look, it's 17 minutes after 10 o'clock. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, right here on 107.1 FM, we will have the Honorable Member of Parliament, Dineshwar Jaiprashad. His program starts at 8 o'clock, and then I will be on at 9 o'clock. I probably will have a guest or two tomorrow. I heard that there's going to be a protest in Guyana sometime in August. And that is where I want to see members of parliament, the opposition members of parliament. That is where I want to see them going out and protesting. I don't want to anybody give any Jim Cock bring Ram good story that members of parliament got to jump on a plane to travel thousands of miles away to protest in another country. And there's hardly any protest in your own country. So I hope those members of parliament will support the protest action in Guyana, because that is where it is important. That is where it matters. Don't complain because of the pandemic that you can't protest in Guyana, but yet you want to jump on a plane to come and protest in the US. There is pandemic. There's this Delta strain that is happening, and it's going to get bad. It is going to get bad. I don't know. People need to get their priorities straight. I'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time. I've got to go. God bless you, and God bless our beautiful, beautiful country, Guyana. Thanks for tuning in, all of you. See you then.
It's hard to be at peace with the ones who are so discard. It's hard. Them have a knife in your back and them smile it so broad. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. God, the booby traps with them set is real. I never want to take your glory, Lord. Send your angels to encamp around about me and stand guard. To envy is so easy and to love it is so hard. Let me work for your glory and not for the award. Don't make me ever get caught up in the scream and the applause. And go talk about the blessing and not talk about the Lord. All these things are vanity. I need your reward. Let me be real. Don't put on no facade. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them give me flesh when the crowd a shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. God, the booby traps with them set is real. Sticks and stones can break my bones and words can harm me. They can harm me. When the evil come against me, you'll protect me. You'll protect me. Father, I need the strength of your son. Cause you know my work is not done. Lord, I need that endurance just to finish this race that I run. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. And help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. God, the booby traps with them set is real. You tell me if you stand firm, cause every little plan you have a confirm. I know them evil plan turn. In a darkness, me a the lantern. So help me if you deal with the ones that who said them love me when them really don't. Jesus, help me if you deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd a shout. Help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. God, the booby traps with them set is real. Help me to deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when